Regular meeting of the Taos County Board of County Commissioners to order at 9:04 a.m. on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? Madam Deputy Clerk.
Vice Chair Romero,
Present.
Commissioner Romero,
Present.
Commissioner Vigil,
Present.
Chair Brush,
Present.
Commissioner Mascareñas.
Present.
Thank you. And Vice Chair Romero, would you like to lead us in an inspirational devotion this morning?
Sure. Oh Dios supremo, autor de la paz y amante de la concordia, bendecir el ejercicio de estos efectos de gobierno a que nos habéis llamado, que reflexionemos sobre los principios verdaderos de nuestras obligaciones y que tengamos sabiduría para decir con cierto todos nuestros impuestos, que acuerdemos nuestras acciones por las reglas de conciencia y virtud y por el ejemplo, los buenos, los justos y los sabios. Gracias.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And for our pledge and the salute to the flag of New Mexico, if everyone could please stand with us. And I'll ask Commissioner Mascareñas to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Mascareñas. Commissioner Vigil, would you please lead us in the salute to the flag of New Mexico?
I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united countries.
Thank you both. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for being here in person and online, whoever's watching on YouTube. Commissioners, our next item is item 6, which is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes that you would like to recommend, or is there a motion to approve? Motion to approve. Thank you, Commissioner Vigil. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mascareñas. If you would please call the roll.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Vigil,
Yes?
Commissioner Mascareñas,
Yes.
Vice Chair Romero,
Yes.
Chair Brush.
Yes, thank you. Agenda item 7, awards and recognition. And we're going to start out, and I'm not sure who's taking this, if it's Manager Jaramillo or Ms. Elam and our HR team back there. But we've got some good information today. You're going to take item A, which is a years of service certificate for the month of April 2023, which is going to be presented to Ms. Deborah Chavez.
Come on up, Deborah.
There is a name change from what's on the agenda. It's not.
She's now Chavez. There's a lot I could say about Deborah. I've worked closely over the years with Deborah and my different roles at the county. I remember when I was Human Resources Director, when we did hire Deborah 10 years ago. And I remember her because this was our first round of working with Workforce Solutions and testing, skills testing. And Deborah did very well in her tests. As Word, Excel, and there was a third test that I don't remember what that was. So I remember her doing well, and she did well in the interviews, and then she was hired to work in our Public Works Department with then Public Works Director Rick Chavez. She has since been promoted and is now currently the office manager for the operations department. So she works closely with Public Works, solid waste, and the fleet department. So she's their office manager and a lot of the glue behind the scenes. And and she also provides a lot of support in our Earth Day cleanups, our items like vehicle inventory, or to see what's at the dealerships. And so we kind of rely on Deborah for that. So I'd like to present this years of service certificate in recognition of 10 years of service to Taos County, presented to Deborah Chavez, April 2013 to April 2023. Taos County Board of Commissioners, Bob Romero, District 1, Miguel Romero, District 2, Darlene Vigil, District 3, Angelina Brush, District 4, and Ronald Mascareñas, District 5, and Brent Hudman, County Manager. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
welcome to say a few words.
Deborah, thank you so much for being the glue behind the scenes of some of our most important work. I think that any of us up here would tell you that between the roads and solid waste and stuff, that's some of the most visible and important stuff to our residents of Taos County. So you being part of that team over these last 10 years is really important, and we're grateful. Would anybody else like to say?
Just thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being part of the family.
Madam Chair, I'd also like to recognize for the month of April, the following individuals that have completed their years of service. Chief Deputy Clerk Ana Martinez has completed 21 years of service. GIS Analyst Don Rael has completed 21 years. We just recognize Deborah for her 10 years of service. Larry Espinosa in the Planning Department, 9 years of service. Rudy Perea in the Planning Department, 9 years. Abby Fernandez in our senior programs, 6 years. Gwendolyn Harris, known as Wendy, she's completed 6 years. Ricardo Gallegos, who actually just left the county, just completed 5 years of service with the county. And Erwin Chavez from Public Works completed 4 years. Gilda Gentet and our Healthcare Assistance Program completed 4 years. Ray Lopez, who's now in our Facilities Department, has just completed 3 years. Jonathan Archuleta in Public Works has completed 2 years. Alfredo Cruz in our Facilities has completed 1 year. And Daniel Young from Solid Waste has completed 1 year as well.
Thank you, Brent.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much. And thanks to all of those folks who are sticking with us and working hard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I would like to present the April new hires. So first off, we have Damien Romero. He is in our collections clerk, or he is a collections clerk in our solid waste administration department. We have Jessica Roybal. She joined our clerk's office as a deputy clerk 1. Connor Sullivan, Ava Gannon, and Michelle Getch all joined our EMS department. Randy Fish is a Meals on Wheels driver at the senior program, and Jalen Montano joined the Adult Detention Center as a cadet. So welcome to Taos County.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the whole HR team for working really hard to get folks in and onboarded and part of the team, because we know that that's critical to providing services and getting work done. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7C. Mr. Jaramillo.
Yes, Director Garcia will be joining me for this proclamation. We are asking that the commission proclaim next week, May 7th through 13th, is Detention Staff Week. So this is nationally, there's Correction Officers Week. So whereas Taos County Detention Center work every day to help the residents of Taos County and our visitors enjoy the routines of daily lives in a safe environment. And whereas Taos County employs professional detention staff, without them it would be impossible to attain foremost goals and achievement to make Taos County a safe place. And whereas Taos County Board of Commission recognize the sacrifice of these brave men and women of our detention staff who just demonstrate their unmatched selflessness in their service to the utmost stressful situations. And whereas members of our detention staff are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas the members of our detention staff, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours in specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-giving skills. And whereas the Taos County detention staff have never refused their county's call, so we, the citizens of Taos County, wish to express our lasting gratitude to these special men and women of our community, and let us show our appreciation by honoring our detention staff by giving them extraordinary gratitude so they might rightly deserve. And therefore it be resolved that we, the Taos County Board of Commissioners of Taos County, New Mexico, in recognition of this, do hereby proclaim the week of May 7th through the 13th, 2023 as Detention Staff Week. Presented Commissioner Bob Romero, District 1, Miguel Romero, District 2, Darlene Vihil, District 3, and Jeanette Brush, District 4, and Ronald Mascareñas, District 5. And I signed it as county manager and attested by our clerk, Valerie Montoya. Thank you, Director Garcia. And we also do have certificates that will be presented, and we'll present them with staff next week. And but I'll give this first certificate of appreciation presented to Michael Danny Garcia in recognition of valuable contributions to Taos County Adult Detention Center. Never forget the difference you make every day. You're greatly appreciated. Taos County Board of Commissioners on May 2nd, 2023. There you go, Danny. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we'll get this. So we do have some activities working with our vendors next week. We are doing a barbecue one day. Then there's cake another day by Core Health, and pizza another day. And we want to recognize them next week. As you remember, a couple weeks ago was Dispatchers Telecommuters Week. So the month of May is actually pretty busy for our public safety personnel. You'll see the sheriff's office in the coming weeks, as well as the EMS department. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent, and thank you, Director Garcia, to you and your team for doing a job that is often extremely hard, or probably always extremely difficult. So we thank you for the work that you all do. I know it's often thankless, but we're grateful that you're there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Okay, this takes us on to our agenda item 8, which is public comment. If you are watching online, in just a couple of minutes after we see if there's anyone in the room who would like to speak, you will call 575-737-6310. So take note of that number. If you're watching online and would like to call in a couple of minutes, when it's time and we turn the phone off of Do Not Disturb, please call 575-737-6310. But first, we'll go to anyone who's in the room who would like to speak. A reminder, you have 3 minutes, and please state your name and where you live. And remember that due to the Open Meeting Act statute in the state of New Mexico, we cannot engage in a back and forth with you because it wasn't published on the agenda. And your topic might be so interesting, everyone else in Taos County would have wanted to be here listening to it. So if there's anyone in the room who would like to take their 3 minutes, now would be the time. Mr. Vaniclassen. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Garrett Vaniclassen from New Mexico Wild. I live up in Taos Canyon. I just wanted to comment about this Clower acquisition that's going to be on the agenda today. As a hunter, as a hiker, as a very enthusiastic outdoorsman, and a supporter of public lands, it's a big deal for Taos County. And really excited to see it added to the monument, which is a huge driver for our county, and also opportunity to hunt and utilize these lands in ways that we've been doing since time immemorial. So, just an enthusiastic supporter of this, and I think you all know this, but the previous commission did unanimously support a resolution for that. So, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Vaniclassen. Is there anybody else in the room who would like to take their 3 minutes to state what's on their line? No? Okay, then I'm going to take the phone off of Do Not Disturb. And again, if you'd like to call in, the number is 575-737-6310. And we'll give it a minute or two to see if anyone's going to call in. And this is where we need a fun or educational opportunity to use a minute or two while we wait for the phone to ring. I think we'll have to have like capsule history lessons going forward. But we will just give it a minute or two. One last time, that number is 575-737-6310. At a minimum, I get to practice my DJ voice. Okay, I think it's safe to say we're not getting a call. So we'll move along through the agenda. Next item is number 9. 9A is approval of the April 4, 2023 regular meeting minutes. Commissioners, what are your wishes? Do you have any edits or wish to approve as presented?
Madam Chair, motion to approve?
Thank you, Vice Chair Romero. Is there a second? I will go ahead and second then. And Madam Deputy Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil,
Yes.
Commissioner Mascareñas,
Yes.
Vice Chair Romero,
Yes.
Chair Brush.
Yes, thank you. This takes us to item 10, which is new business, and 10A is discussion, consideration, and decision regarding a letter of support for Phase 2 of the Clower Tract for inclusion into the Public Lands Trust. And with us today from the Trust for Public Lands is Greg Heiner. Mr. Heiner, if you'd like to come up.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Madam Chair, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Greg Heiner. I'm with the Trust for Public Land. The Trust for Public Land is a national land conservation organization. This year, we're actually celebrating our 50th anniversary. I would say that some of our most significant work, I always think, was actually done here in Taos County. Nearly 10 years before the Rio Grande del Norte National Monument was established, the Trust for Public Land was actively working on projects with willing landowners and members of the community. Those projects included the 14,000-acre Ute Mountain, and even maybe more significantly to almost anybody that comes to Taos County, the 2,500-acre Taos Valley Overlook. Today, when the monument was established, between U Mountain and the Taos Valley Overlook, those really ended up becoming the bookends for what became the National Monument in 2013. Today, in relationship, and I know you all have some maps, in relationship to the Taos Valley Overlook project, last year the commission was looking at the 3,700-acre Clower Tract, which was Phase 1. And at this point, we have an opportunity to also consider adding the 1,700-acre Clower Tract 2 on the other side of New Mexico 68 to the monument. Last year, as I said, the commission considered Tract 1. Taos Pueblo was also in support of Phase 1, and we are going back to them on Tract 2 or Phase 2. I think as Garrett was so aptly pointed out, the addition to this property would have a lot of benefits to the community, also being an economic driver, a preservation really of the iconic Taos sort of entry point, seeing the gorge, having the backdrop of the mountains, having that corridor undeveloped. I think in particular, the property or part of Phase 2 that could be considered apt for either commercial or residential development is not part of this deal and would be carved out and retained for possible future development. I would say too that this is a particularly apt time to consider and move these projects forward if possible. Secretary Holland, our Secretary of Interior, was here last year for National Public Lands Day. I think that brought a lot of focus and prioritized finalizing and finishing this project. And as we all know, we need to take advantage of those windows when we have support and focus to get projects like this done and really complete the total Taos Valley Overlook project, I would say. I think that's pretty much all I had to say, but I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Heiner.
Yes.
And appreciate you being here and talking us through this. And Commissioners, a reminder, this is what we are considering this morning is whether or not to approve the letter of support that will go then to the director of the BLM. just want to take a quick note. I'm getting word that the call-in number didn't work, that there were maybe other people who wanted to comment about this particular issue. Could we just double check that number is the right one? I think I said it right. 575-737-6310. Well, we'll double check that. Commissioners, do you have questions for Mr. Heiner about what they're asking us to lend our voice to?
Madam Chair,
Vice Chair Romero, yeah.
I have a question on the plat here. What is the difference between the area outlined in orange and the ones outlined in blue around the Clower campus?
So, Madam Chair, Commissioner, the total property that is owned is shown both in the orange and the blue, but only the orange is what is being considered for addition to the monument. The property that's outlined in blue around the Clower campus, that is not part of the acquisition we're talking about. It's only the stuff that's in the orange.
Is there any planned development that you're aware of in the vicinity? I mean, we have in addition to the UNM Taos Clower campus, I don't know, has 80 acres.
Yeah.
And we have the Veterans Cemetery. Is there any other planned?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, I don't know. I know that the Clowers have considered, or I should say, Mark Cowan, their representative here in Taos, has told me that they have considered things. I don't know if there are any firm plans for any development at this time.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioners, are there further questions or comments for Mr. Heiner?
Yes, quick question.
Commissioner
Is
Vehil.
it fair to ask what will be paid for this?
So we will acquire the property and afterwards convey to the BLM, and that will be at its fair market value, which will be its appraised value.
Okay.
Those appraisals have not taken place either on
Fair.
tract one or phase one or phase two. Those are still forthcoming. It's a very detailed process that it's gone through with federal oversight and review. And so it takes quite a long time to tee these things up.
Great. Thank you.
If I may add, it will be paid through the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which is a national fund that is, the money from that is generated from the proceeds of offshore oil development. So the idea is in the 1960s when this fund was established was that when national assets were depleted, some of that money would go back into a fund to then preserve other national assets. So no local funds are going into this acquisition.
Thank you.
for that
That's a
clarification.
good explanation. Thank you for the question. And Commissioner
Yeah,
Mascarenhas.
Madam Chair, I do have a question, and if I remember correctly, there is some utilities that cross this property. How does that affect the future of the utilities and how those are taken care of?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, any utilities that cross the property would be governed by the easements that are in place when the property is purchased. Those easements would run with the property and the BLM would have to respect those rights. And so any utilities that are on the property that have proper legal easements would continue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Mascarenhas. And sorry to be a little distracted. We're trying to get the phone working in case people who didn't get through during public comment. Any further questions for Mr. Heiner while we've got him? I appreciated the explanation about the appraisal process. I think we can all relate to how long that takes and how grateful we are when we have a patient and willing seller to wait for the process to go through. Okay, I'll do something slightly unorthodox here since our phone isn't working. Those folks who did not get through in public comment can call my phone at 575-779-2095, and it'll ring right here and I'll put you on speaker. So if you'd like to call, dial in at 575-779-2095, just for today. Well, actually, anytime you can call that number. But for this meeting today, 575-779-2095.
Meanwhile, can I?
Yes, please,
May I ask
Commissioner
a
Vehil.
question? The proposed phase two, what are the intentions? Will it be trails? What's the thought process behind protecting it? I get the beauty of it as you're driving into Taos, but just wondering, is it, going to be
Madam Chair.
utilized in the way?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioner. The ultimate use of the property is governed by the BLM's plan or management plan. And when they get to that, that will be a public process where they'll ask for comment and things like that on the uses of the property. But I would expect, my opinion, is that there would be an expansion of the trail network that's already within the Rio Verde recreation area, the Taos Valley Overlook. I would assume that they'll push those very popular trails into phase two, and likewise probably some similar development on phase one. I know at one point the BLM was considering a more developed overlook or a built overlook to see the gorge that would be up on the little mountain or peak. They're right outside where the Department of Transportation pullout is. And so they'd always wanted to build a short little walk and a viewing platform up there, and better parking. But that was a while ago when those plans were discussed.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a
Thank you.
good question. And this is not really fair to ask for you because I know you're not responsible for it, but do you happen to know where the progress or the status of the BLM's management plan for the national monument is? Because I know it kind of got put on hold for 4 or 5 years there because it was not a priority. And I'm just wondering if over the last couple of years, it's picked up any kind of steam.
Madam Chair, I don't know the
Okay,
current
thank-
status.
that's
If I
totally fair. I know
find
it's-
something out, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I'm going
Miss-
over there after this meeting. So.
Okay, yeah, and it's, again, it was not fair. It's not your responsibility,
Yeah.
that's BLM, but I know that, that there was, during previous administrations, there was not any prioritization of that work. But Mr. Venaklausen, do you have information about that or about people trying to call in? Nobody's calling.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. Commissioners, I met recently with Eric Valencia, who's the new Rio Grande del Norte manager. And he said that their RMP is going to be out here probably in the next month for public scoping and comment. We have a Rio Grande del Norte celebration on May 25th at the Taos Country Club. And everyone in the room, of course, is invited to that. And Eric is going to give a presentation on the management plan. That's from 5 to 8 on the 25th. And so he's going to give an update and a kind of a Q&A at that event. So everyone's invited to that.
That's helpful information. Thank you. We'll go to that on May 25th and get the update. Okay. Commissioner Vehil, yeah.
So this is a letter of support, and I believe last commission did a resolution. Is there a particular reason why we're going a different route on this one? I'm just curious because we didn't do a resolution. Not that I'm asking for one, but this is a letter of support. Is there a particular reason or no need for resolution? Whereas the last time.
Madam Chair, Commissioner, either would be okay. I think it just, the letter was sort of the means that was offered and it was drafted, to sort of get it moving, but a resolution would be just as well, So whatever
Okay.
you see as most appropriate and easiest for you would be
Okay.
appreciated.
That's a good question. We did do it
Yeah.
differently last year when we were considering the phase one. And we do have one call, very exciting. So I'm going to put you on speaker, Mr. Caller, and if you could just state your name and where you're from, and then you have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you very much. This is Jesse Dubell. I live in southern Santa Fe County, but I'm the executive director of the New Mexico Wildlife Federation. And we represent sportsmen from across the state, including Taos and Taos County. The New Mexico Wildlife Federation is the oldest and largest sporting organization in the state. I wanted to call in and just express our very strong support for the Clower acquisition and the expansion of the Rio Grande del Norte National Monument. That truly is one of the greatest gems in northern New Mexico, and one that's very much celebrated and appreciated by sportsmen and women across the state and in other states who travel to Taos County to spend time recreating, hiking, fishing, bird watching, hunting in the monument. So again, New Mexico Wildlife Federation stands in strong support of this Clower acquisition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for calling in. Okay, any further questions, comments on our item?
Madam Chair, could I just, sorry to interrupt. I just, after Jesse's comment, I just wanted to add, once I was out at the Rio Verde at the end of County Road 110 at that trailhead there. And I was talking to a person that was next to me in a car. I'd stopped off, I was looking around, and she was a veteran from Texas that travels to New Mexico, and particularly to this area, because she thinks the mountain biking is so great and so much better than anywhere in Texas, that she just has to get in her van and drive all the way to Taos to recreate. So just reminded that on Jesse's comment. It was a great story. I thought I would just pass it on here.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioners, if there are no further questions or comments, I would entertain a motion regarding item 10A, a letter of support for phase 2 of the Clower Tract for inclusion into the Public Land Trust.
Madam Chair, motion to approve the letter of support for the Clower Tract for inclusion into the Public Land Trust.
Thank you, Vice Chair Romero. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mascarenhas. Madam Clerk, please call a roll.
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil,
Yes.
Commissioner Mascarenhas,
Yes.
Vice Chair Romero,
Yes.
Chair Brush.
Yes. Thank you very much. We'll get a signed copy of this over to you to deliver to the Director of the BLM.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, this takes us to agenda item 11, budget matters, and item A is discussion on 2023-2024 budget allocation for lodgers tax for promotional and non-promotional funds. And for this item, we have our Deputy County Manager, Christopher Madrid. Good morning, Mr. Madrid.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission. What I'd like to do, and we have a PowerPoint for you, is walk you through the framework and then get ourselves to the actual budget through that process. And we do have one member of the new lodgers tax board here. I'll get him introduced and his wife here in just a few minutes. So lodgers tax has been on our agenda a few times in the last number of months. I want to point out, and I think it's important, that management understands this is not the only aspect of economic development. There's a lot of other important aspects of community and economic development, our housing, our workforce development, supporting our local businesses that are already here, that are part of our tax base and providing jobs, our entrepreneurs, and we look forward to working with all aspects of development. But we're getting lodgers tax back up and going, so it's been here a few times before you. So the first slide is eligible uses. How can we use these funds? And as you'll learn in a minute, there's two major buckets. There's the promotional side and the non-promotional side. Here on this slide, they're mixed up just a little bit. First of all, we get to pay ourselves back for the administrative aspects of this fund. A lot of time and energy goes into this. It used to be in another department, and it's I don't want to call it a burden, but it takes a lot of time and effort. It's tedious. It's a lot of documentation. So that goes directly back into our general fund. Item 2, this will fall into the non-promotional bucket. This is assets in our community. We can purchase assets, we can improve assets, we can construct, we can operate assets that are tourist related in the county. Some communities stand up visitor centers, for example. Perhaps depending on how we program the old county courthouse, funding can go towards that programming or towards those improvements, supporting the plaza, the baseball fields or other type soccer fields, for example, that draw people here, but then our citizens get to use those assets as well. So it's striking that balance. Number 3, that's the one that
that's the promotional side of the fence. That's the one that goes through the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board and makes recommendations back to the commission. And then you'll see if we have events, we can get our sheriff's office, our get them reimbursed for the resources they put towards tourist-related events. We can do bonding with these funds if that's something that the commission was interested in the future. The Convento in Espanola was paid for by a lodger's tax bond, for example. And then finally, we have to, the statute requires us to do auditing of the lodgers to make sure that they're properly paying their taxes. The Granicus software that we approved is an example of that. Next slide. And this is just a slide that says, how do we divide the funds? Why is it 40% to promotional and 60%? And the statute outlines, depending on what percentage that we charge lodgers tax, it can be from 0 all the way to 5. There's a formula that says how much has to go to promotion. And at 5%, if you work through the formula, it comes out to, if you do the math, it comes out to 40% will go to promotion. Next slide. And this comes out of our ordinance. It's also consistent with the state statute. Here's what the Lodgers Tax Board does. It advises the commission and it makes recommendations to the commission. It doesn't make final decisions that get implemented. Those decisions on promotional use comes before this board for your final approval. I've seen boards accept everything or add something to it. If you have ideas, maybe you want to run that through the Lodgers Tax Board, but that's a cycle. And I can tell you, having had conversations with our 5 members, they got their finger on the pulse of the tourists that come here. I think you'll hear from Jody here in a second. And so they have some good thoughts and ideas. And let me just use this second to introduce Mr. Jody Wodrich and his wife Sashi. And Jody, if you could just for a moment kind of introduce yourself and share a little bit about some of the discussions we had regarding folks that you meet.
Yeah, sure. Madam Chair, Commissioners, good to see you guys. And my wife, Xochitl. So together we are sort of a duo in this process. I don't do anything, neither one of us does anything by ourselves, so we do it all together. So, but with that, we're very excited to be on the Lodgers Tax Committee board. And I think one of the things that we've realized is that we get to see every new person face to face, and we talk to every one of the people that come and visit us. And 90% of the people that we're seeing are new to Taos, so have never been there here. So it's really exciting for us, and we get to hear a lot of feedback from them about what they see, what they like, what they don't like. And so I feel like we'll be a great fit to help in the future here.
Thank you, Mr. Wodrich. Thank you for being here and for volunteering for this important board, because I think I'll just say, like, it's helpful to have those of you who are in the industry seeing and hearing what people are saying to help advise us. So appreciate you staying involved and being involved in this way. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm not sure Mr. Wodrich realizes, or the other members, this is paper intensive. They're going to be looking at a lot of applications. They're going to be putting in some time and effort, and it's all them giving back to the community. So we appreciate that. Next slide. So getting towards our budget, we have a 5% tax rate. That brings in about $1.2 million a year right now. As a comparison, Rio Riba, when I was there a couple of years ago, was about $90,000 a year. So the lodgers, the tourism activity here is a lot stronger than many other areas. So you can expect about $1.2 million a year to come in. Our budget this year is $3 million. That's because we've had carryover from the last 2 years. On On the promotional side of the fence, you have 2 years to expend the funds that you receive. Looking back, our lodgers tax has gone up substantially. So a couple years ago, we were only about $300,000 in that particular bucket. So I was worried that we were behind. We were not behind, but now we're going to have to start spending much more to make sure that we don't revert any of the funding. 40% goes to the promotional side of the fence. So that budget this year will be $1.2 million. And the process is as follows. The commission approves all our budgets. Then the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board meets, they go over thoughts and ideas, take applications, they come back to this body and make recommendations for your final approval. On the non-promotional side, that's 60%. We have a $1.8 million budget this year. The process here, again, the commission approves the budget. County management expends per that budget. If anything's over $60,000, we have to bring that before this body for your approval. I don't have the expectation that we'll need to spend all 1.8. We want to be thoughtful, smart about how this is done. And so maybe that'll carry over into the future for other projects, but that's what we have in our budget at this time. So finally, the detailed budget on the promotional side, grants to sub-recipients. This is the process I was talking about where we receive applications. The Lodgers Tax Board goes through those applications, prioritizes them, brings recommendations back to you all. And then those entities, it's not done. It's just not a paycheck. I mean, it's not a check to them. They have to report back on the use of those funds. We get audited. Those files have to be maintained to demonstrate that we're properly implementing the lodgers tax. The Lodgers Tax Advisory Direct Promotion Recommendations. This is a new line item. Here's why I'm recommending it is I've seen other counties implement lodgers tax. It's a big lift with all that paperwork. Here, you all might have ideas that I can take to the Lodgers Tax Board. The community might have ideas. These are sort of bigger, meatier projects. I take them back to the Lodgers Tax Board. They kind of chew on it, make recommendations. I can bring those recommendations back to you. And this doesn't have to take place in those 1 or 2 seasons where we're taking application. This is work we can do year round. Partnerships and leverage promotions. We've had good partnerships with the town of Taos. Karina has done an amazing job, and I think we're the beneficiary. One of the reasons why our lodgers tax is so high is she helped us make sure that it gets collected at the Airbnb level. And so, and then she brings great ideas. I believe she sits on the board with tourism, where they oversee some of these funds. And she sees opportunities where we can leverage these funds, go after grants, get a match. And so our budget is actually greater than this because of that leveraging. Or we can work with other entities who have a promotional idea, and we can say, all right, we might put something in, but how much are you going to put in? And so we can leverage some more. The hot air balloon project is something we already brought before you all. It's an example of leveraging, but because it's an independent project, I just set that aside by itself. It's probably not $150,000. If we receive the grant, it'll be half that amount. But in case we don't receive the grant, we can still move forward with the project. Outdoor recreation, that was in the budget before. I left it in there in case it needed to be used for that purpose. On the promotional side of the fence, you'll see the lion's share in the property management and improvements. That's the asset development that we talked about. Other contractual services, that could be Granicus. One thing I'll be recommending to the county manager is that we maybe hire a consultant to implement so that we don't take our staff time, hire somebody to hand off a lot of this work so that we can keep our eye on some of the other priorities of the county. Transportation, that could be air, that could be blue bus, that could be other type of transportational activities. The Ag Center, I learned that we have 2 events where we bring youth here from all around the region, Southern Colorado. So the Ag Center is an asset that we want to keep working on. Signage and wayfinding. Main Street has done a lot of good work at developing wayfinding in the plaza area, and we can maybe complement that outside of the plaza area into the greater part of the county. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Madrid. This is extremely informative and useful. Thank you for laying all this out. And you're making me think of our joint meeting just last week where the mayor did bring up some potential joint projects that we could invest lodger's tax into. So commissioners, questions? Commissioner Vihil.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. This is great. This is exactly what I've been hoping for, that we could certainly think out of the box and start utilizing this money to not only, do what it's intended to do, but also benefit the locals. And so thank you for that. That's really exciting. I think we have a great board that is also going to think out of the box. And so just really excited about that. I do have a couple of questions in regards to the budget. The first one is collecting the tax. What are we collecting? What are we paying ourselves?
10%.
10%. Okay. Sorry
Commissioner.
if you said that and I didn't hear it. And then you talked about leveraging the monies, and it's always good to leverage if we can. And I'm thinking of the land, water, people, and time that Northern Rio Grande National Heritage Area does run or helps assist with. Is that one that can be, they put some money in, we put some money in, and we can certainly utilize? I'm just wondering if that's what you mean by leveraging, because I know that.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Vihil, we do pay for land, water, and time from actually the commission budget. So we probably could look at it a little bit differently.
Okay, that's,
So yeah, that advertisement does come out of.
it's a beautiful, magazine that comes out.
So Madam Chair, Commissioner Vihil, and I can't help myself. So Mr. Tomas Romero and I sat in a room and contemplated this magazine years ago. And Rio Ribe County, through lodger's tax, put in the first $500,000 to get that periodical started. So yes, lodger's tax does apply to
Great.
that magazine.
And Madam Chair, one more question. So how often will the group, the advisory committee meet to approve the applications coming through?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Vihil, that's a question I look to pose to them.
Okay.
Part of that is going to depend on some advice of counsel. I asked him a question, and we probably won't have an answer today. Is this subject to open meetings or not? I've never seen it applied to open meetings, but I know the town of Taos does. So council has some research and will be getting back to us. That'll affect how often we meet and how we meet. What I've seen with other communities is twice a year they go through that application process. It is kind of a heavy lift.
Yes.
If we're not subject to the Open Meetings Act, I think we can meet more often, get on a Zoom, tackle issues. They don't make any final decisions. The
Right.
board does. A lot of what takes place when they're going through applications is 4 hours of going through paperwork. So I'm not sure that's the type of environment where folks would want to sit and watch that process take place. But I'm going to advise that they meet twice a year for applications. So we have 2 different seasons, and then maybe 3 or 4 other times where we can get some other business done besides the application process, but try to make it convenient for them where we can meet virtually, or, we're a large county. We have folks from different parts of the county. It's not like they all live here in the town of Taos.
And I thought I had no more questions, but the Airbnb, obviously, we're trying to get that under control in the county side, meaning that all Airbnbs are being reported. So we should see some additional funds, I would say, in the future, because they obviously need to pay lodger's tax. So I say that because in my mind, there's a lot of Airbnbs that are not in the records and will be soon, hopefully. correct?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Beal. So that's where working hand in hand with the planning department and the ordinance that's going to be coming before you here soon. And then lodger's tax paying for the Granicus software, which allows us to identify where there's activity taking place, match that up to what's reported and what's not reported. And then there will be revenues, I think Andy will tell you, upwards of 900,000 a year that will be coming in from
Right.
short-term rentals to the county.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you for that question, Commissioner Vihil, and thank you for the answer. I personally am grateful to Mr. Jones and to Rachel, our planning director back there, for getting that organized and trying to get a process in place for getting a handle on the short-term rentals. So thank you. Vice Chair Romero, did you have a
Yeah,
question?
Madam Chair, just a comment. So the amount that is available to spend now is higher because of the fund balances that has accumulated over the past couple of years. But the projected amount, the 1.2, does have the potential to get higher because of the app that we are purchasing for the monitoring of short-term rentals. And so that then also is dependent on the enforcement of that. Are there plans in place to really enforce that once we have data on the number of short-term rentals?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Romero, yes, I think the planning department is really putting together a thoughtful ordinance that's going to make sure that folks are going to pay. We're investing in resources to make sure that that does occur. From the short-term rental standpoint, because the town helped us out and made sure that Airbnb and VRBO collected on behalf of the county, which is a difficult thing to do. I tried to make that happen at Rio Grande County and I couldn't. They wouldn't take my phone call. You all got in under the wire, and then when the light bulb went off for the rest of us, they said, no, we're not doing that anymore. So it could be that we're already collecting a sizable amount because of that relationship. The other thing is we had the fire in Mora, and the rentals were at full capacity. And so now that that disaster has gone away, that aspect might go down, and then the short-term rentals might go up. So I still think it's a wait and see. I looked at the previous quarter of information. It looks like we're kind of holding our own, like it's trying to find a quarter when the fire kind of activity went down. We still maintain the same level of revenues. It didn't go up and didn't go down. It kind of stayed flat. So I believe, Commissioner, still a little bit of a wait and see.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Madrid. Any further questions or comments?
I'm sorry, I'm full of questions today.
No, sorry, go for it, Commissioner Vihil.
You mentioned 2-year period in which we have to expend the money. Are we getting close? Because you said there was 2 years of accumulation. Are we okay? Do we need to spend anything real quick? Because I'm sure we can figure out how to spend it.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Veal. So I anticipating the question, I look back. Our lodger's tax in the last 2 years really kind of shot up. But 2 years ago, which we have to expend by now, was a bit lower. And given the expending that we've done, we don't have to do much more to make that mark. But what we do need to do is start making sure we expend going forward so that we don't get caught behind the
Yeah,
process.
we don't want to lose anything.
Right.
And just a point of clarification, the portion that needs to be spent within 2 years is the promotional portion, or is it all of it?
It's Madam Chair, my read of the statute and the administrative code is it's the promotional side.
Okay.
But
okay,
I'll go back and double check
Okay,
that.
so, but yeah, that would be good to know, because that would mean that there is that 60% that could be used for other kinds of projects that we're not kind of on the clock for spending. Although we do want to get it out there and make a difference in our community sooner
Madam
rather
Chair,
than later.
I'm 90% sure, but now I'm going to go back and put my finger on it.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Madrid. Really appreciate the information this morning and appreciate the questions and comments from our team. So, thank you. All right. This takes us to agenda item number 12, resolutions and ordinances. And the first, item A, is discussion, consideration, and decision regarding the approval of resolution number 2023-14, a resolution increasing the ad valorem tax for the benefit of the El Valle de los Ranchos Water and Sanitation District. And Mr. Jaramillo, are you taking this one?
No, I thought there would be somebody here from El Valle.
Okay.
Emmeline.
Ah,
Perfect
okay.
timing. Come on up.
Perfect timing. Thank you.
I do want Maylene and Christine to give you probably a little more background. I know Commissioner Romero is aware of this, but I want to educate Commissioner Mascareñas and Commissioner Romero. So let me just give them a little background on the.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Hi, my name is Molina Montano. I'm the business manager for El Valle de los Ranchos. And right now we have almost 1,200 sewer customers and 94 water customers. So to continue our sewer and water, we decided this year to raise the mill levy. I don't know what other information you guys
Okay.
need.
Thank you. I think Commissioner Vihil has a question for you.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
The only question I have is what was the rate last year? So what's the increase? What are we talking about?
1.5 is the increase. We were 5.312 and now it's going to 6.812, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
We hadn't raised this since maybe 5-10 years ago. Bob, do you remember the last time we raised the?
Oh,
It's been a
it's
while.
been probably at least 10 years ago.
Yeah, at least 10 years. We kept trying not to, and right now we have no choice.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So every year, El Valle and El Prado come before the commission. We have to do this every May, and that way it goes into effect for each fiscal year that they operate in. So like Nathan mentioned, there is that increase this year.
And thank you, Mr. Jaramillo, because I know Commissioner Vihil and I have seen this come before us before, but our new colleagues, this is their first time seeing this. So thank you for the background.
And if I may,
Commissioner Vihil? Yeah.
so for the other commissioners, that those that fall within the boundary will see that increase to their tax bill. And
Yes.
I believe you said was $1.15 more. It's rate, 1.15 increase, am I correct?
1.5, yeah.
1.5.
1.5.
1.5, which is in essence per 1,000. They're going to see that $1.50 increase. So that's what it means to the
Thank you.
taxpayer. That's it.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Vice Chair
I
Romero.
sit on the board of the El Valle de los Ranchos Water and Sanitation District, and when we voted on it last month, I abstained there, so I think I will just abstain here also.
Thank you, Vice Chair Romero, for being careful and transparent that way. We appreciate it. Commissioners, if there are no further questions for Mr. Jaramillo or Ms. Montano, what are your wishes regarding regarding the approval of resolution number 2023-14, which is a resolution increasing the ad valorem tax for the benefit of the El Valle de los Ranchos Water and Sanitation District?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Vihil. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Romero. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Vihil,
Yes.
Commissioner Mascareñas,
Yes.
Vice Chair Romero,
Abstain?
Chair Brush.
Yes. Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, right on time. Okay, this takes us to item 12B, a similar item. Discussion, consideration, and decision regarding the approval of resolution number 2023-15, a resolution imposing the ad valorem tax for the benefit of the El Prado Water and Sanitation District. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Christine Dimas. I'm the General Manager of El Prado Water and Sanitation District. We are not increasing or lowering our mill levy rate this year. It is at 8.122, I believe. And I do want to mention that we are also bound by the DFA yield rate, that it's their decision to lower or higher the mill levy at their discretion. And that is one of the reasons why the mill levy is where it is today.
Okay,
Motion to approve?
thank you. And I will second. So we're
Thank
going to
you,
be
Christine.
nice and quick here. Madam Clerk, please call a roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil?
Yes?
Commissioner Mascareñas?
Yes.
Vice Chair Romero?
Yes.
Chair Brush?
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, you too. Thanks for being here. Okay, this takes us to item 13, contracts, agreements, MOUs, and bids. And item 13A is discussion, consideration, and decision regarding the approval of contract TCC 2021-43 Renewal 2 for the Securus Monitoring Solutions, providing ankle monitoring of released detainees. And Manager Jaramillo, are you taking this one?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
As you stated in reading the agenda topic, this is renewable number 2 for Securus tracking system. This is for the ankle monitoring contract. This is our second year of using this ankle monitoring contract. The courts may take somebody off of, release them from detention center and put them on an ankle monitor. And this is the contract that allows the district court judges as well as the magistrate court judges to place them on these individuals.
Thank you, Mr. Jaramillo, and thank you for clarifying that it is the second renewal, which is what's printed on our agenda. I think in the document, it looks like someone circled one typo that says 1 of 3 annual renewals, but the number there, 2, is correct. So just wanted
That's
to make sure
correct,
that we get those 2 numbers aligned, that they both say 2. Commissioners, any questions or comments for?
Just a quick
Great.
question.
Yeah,
Chair.
Commissioner Vehil.
Is there an increase in the amount of cost?
No, there's not an increase.
Good question. Any other questions or comments?
Motion to approve?
Okay, so we have a motion to approve contract TCC 2021-43 Renewal 2 for the Securus Monitoring Solutions, providing ankle monitoring of released detainees. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Mascareñas. Madam Clerk, please call a roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Vehil?
Yes?
Commissioner Mascareñas?
Yes.
Vice Chair Romero?